Good morning. Good morning, India. Mr. Chairman, thanks a lot for your kind words of introduction. Mr. Minister, I'm extremely pleased to be here this morning. Also very honored to be partnering with the India Foundation. It is indeed the first time that Dialogue of Civilization Institute and the India Foundation are collaborating here today. And I'd like to send a salutation and gratitude from the board of the Dialogue of Civilization Institute, from its chairman, Dr. Yakunin, and also to say that even so the Dialogue of Civilization is based in Berlin, in Germany, it is also partially rooted here in India because one of the co-founders of the institute is Mr. Jagdish Kapoor, the famous entrepreneur and futurologist. So we are certainly not a stranger here in India. The Dialogue of Civilization Institute is portraying itself as the first ever multilateral think tank. Our goal is to bring together the multiple perspective, the perspective from the Western world, but also from the emerging world, from all parts of the world, with the goal to shape together the worldviews, a new world order, in a non-confrontational spirit and in a very constructive spirit. The Dialogue of Civilization Institute is also considering that globalization is not just about compiling standards, economic standards, financial standards, trade standards, but as Minister Prasad said before, it also has to have at its heart a moral compass. Globalization will indeed succeed only at the condition that it puts human, culture, and civilization at its heart. The Dialogue of Civilization Institute is very proud to be a close partner of the India Foundation and also an organization, a co-organizer of this session. I'm very pleased also coming here to have seen yesterday a very old friend, Mr. Suresh Prabhu, with whom I've been working for a very long time. Because this is indeed what it is about. This is the big question. Everyone today, from any part of the world, acknowledge that we all together, being Indians, being Russian, being Chinese, being African, we need to invent a new model of cooperation. A new model of cooperation among culture, among countries, among civilization, in the respect of the differences, in the respect of the respective culture. Everyone indeed acknowledge that the old system of cooperation that prevailed since World War II, and that was somewhat dominated by the Western views and the Western philosophy, this old system is over. The Minister of Foreign Affairs yesterday reminded us, the recent Munich Security Conference, that is the premier rendezvous in the world of all people involved in security. And the title of this forum was Westernness. So this is in a way the most illustrative way that the West itself is seeing itself as one component that is slowly, if not disappearing, but that needs to be rebalanced. Everyone agrees that the old world is gone, or the old world order is gone, but the new world order has not emerged yet. And as the philosopher Gramsci was saying, in the meanwhile, it is the time or the risk for the monsters. And I'd like to congratulate the India Foundation, which really gives us a very clear sense of a direction. As the Minister Prasad mentioned this morning, I think this title, Turning to Roots and Rising to Heights, is offering us a great compass, a great sense of a direction, because it wonderfully encapsulates the terms of the discussion and the challenge, which is how to combine harmoniously the need and the aspiration for global perspective and responsibility, but also how to combine the legitimate need and aspiration for culture, for tradition, and identity. Everyone agrees and knows and acknowledges today that the notion of the Western-inspired universal values must be profoundly revisited, must be reinvented altogether. And in order to see and to look at what will keep us all together as humanity. I believe that the big mistake has been to oppose or to believe that the roots and the heights were not compatible. A world of harmony, a world of peace, a world of prosperity will be a world that will combines indeed the roots and the heights. And again, I mean, as the Minister stressed this morning, for globalization to succeed, it must go deep in its roots in order to make it compatible and to make it successful, and the capacity of building a world where culture, tradition, religion coexist harmoniously in the respect of the differences. But also a world where the culture and the tradition and civilization can transcend their differences and define shared views. And I insist on this word of shared, not universal, but shared views, shared goals. Mr. Chairman, I know that this session is to discuss about the rise of conservatism around the world, and maybe I took some distance with the strict notion of conservatism. And I think, as it was mentioned today, this morning by Mr. Yaganathan, conservatism or liberalism, or in a way, are labels, and that we can be either a conservative on the cultural point of view, a progressive in an economic point of view, and I think what really matters today is indeed those divides and those dilemmas, the divides between conservatism and liberalism, the divide between the globalist and the localist, the divide between the religion and the religious and the seculars. And I think what is really important, if we want to have a world that really will be peaceful and prosperous, is really to be able to avoid this notion of a winner takes all. We need to be able to create the condition of a peaceful coexistence. And this is, in a way, what was said this morning by the Minister, the terms of a new moral compass, because this is indeed very much what it is about. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, the world, in a way, is at the crossroads again. This year, 2020, to a certain extent, is a special year. The world will celebrate the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II. It is also the 75th anniversary of the bombing in Hiroshima. And it is also the 75th anniversary of the creation of the United Nations. And evidently, a lot has been accomplished during the 75th year, but a lot has to be reinvented for the world that is in the making, this world that is profoundly reshuffling. And that's why, indeed, we can consider that the world is at the crossroads and needs urgently to be reimagined and to create the world that we want, a world of cooperation among all culture and civilization. This will be actually the topic of the 18th annual forum of the Dialogue of Civilization Institute in Rhodes, in Greece, in October. And I would like to end my initial comment to invite the India Foundation, to invite you, because we have the conviction that it is extremely important that the voice of India, that the voice of the Indian culture and the voice of India is absolutely indispensable in this global conversation. Thank you.